Well, good morning. And we're out on another walk. And, amazingly, this is the second day running that I've been out on a walk. So, yeah, I was out on a walk yesterday, which I filmed. By the time this one goes out, that video should already be up on my YouTube channel. So this is the next day, and that's something. 2 days walking, 2 days running, walking. Oh, that sounds weird. Walking 2 days running is something I haven't done for a long time. So it's good news, and I'm hoping it's going to go well. Now, you will have seen from all the railway paraphernalia that's been in the opening sequence that we are on a railway route in part. And actually we've started from Blandford Forum. Now, I will tell you more as we go, but it should be about a 7-mile walk. Not too hilly, I don't think. And there's parts of it I've not really walked very often. So hopefully it'll be good. Anyway, hope you're going to join me. There's lots to see along the way, and I'll tell you more as we go. So let's crack on. So yes, we have started walking this morning from Blandford Forum. We won't see a huge amount of the town. We're kind of skirting around it. We're starting there and finishing there, so we'll see bits of it. But it's not a town walkabout, although I think that might be worth doing sometime, because there's quite a lot of interesting stuff at Blandford. Anyway, the town itself, well, it gets its name from, well, ford, I guess is obvious. It's a river crossing because it's on the River Stour. The first part comes from an old word, blage. Blage apparently is like blay, which is a fish, small fish, freshwater fish, and they used to be found here. So the name actually means, Blandford means ford where there are blay. And forum, well, forum's a gathering place, market, which is a nod to the fact that Blandford Forum was a thriving market town at one time. It is one of those towns, you know, I seem to say this quite a lot on my videos. It's a town which is Georgian because of a major fire that destroyed most of the town in 1731. And I seem to say that with quite a few of our villages and towns, that they were destroyed by fire and rebuilt. Blandford was rebuilt by the Bastard brothers, and George II himself made a donation, and there was an Act of Parliament passed, which stated that it had to be built in brick and tile. But anyway, the fire actually in 1731 was started in a tallow workshop on the site of what is now the King's Arms Hotel. We'll see that one at the end of the walk. But I suppose in recent times, what's it most famous for? Probably the fly, the dreaded Blandford fly. Which bred along the banks of the River Stour, and a few years ago I remember they were a pest, and if you got bitten by one it swelled up. Anyway, they've kind of put things down to reduce the numbers now, so it's not been a problem in recent years that I'm aware of. Certainly not for me anyway. And we started, of course, well, we started in Blandford itself, but The main filming I did earlier on was around the station site, which of course is now no longer, because it was on the Somerset and Dorset joint stock railway, and that's what we're walking on at the moment. First part is on the railway trailway, North Dorset Trailway as it is now. Great route to cycle, I have to say, because this is paved, so it's well, it's good for walking as well for me at the moment, because it's nice and flat and level and easy to walk on. But yeah, the Somerset and Dorset Railway ran from Bournemouth to Bath originally. Came out of a merger between two railway companies back in 1862. Ran for 100 years or so, closed in 1966, but it served all the rural areas of Dorset, and it was a popular and loved railway line, and still is. There's a lot of love for this railway line, and moves to try and reinstate it as a full walking path, the whole length of it. Chunks of it can be walked, but not all of it at the moment. It closed. I think it mainly closed because there were issues. There were some steep gradients for trains to get over, and they had to be double-headed. So it's partly that, I think, which was its demise, really. So as you can see from the sign, we're actually heading towards Stourpaine. So I haven't actually detailed the route, have I? We are, well, obviously started from Blandford. We're following the North Dorset Trailway, the S&D line, through to Stourpaine. Won't actually go into Stourpaine on this walk, but from there we will hop across to Durweston. We will walk through part of Durweston, and then the homeward route will take us through or past Bryanston School. Don't think we can walk through the grounds, but Bryanston School, and then we will finish up with a short stretch of the River Stour in order to get back to the beginning again. As I say, it should be about 7 miles, assuming I don't do my usual trick of detouring numerous times to take things in that are interesting. But actually at the moment I'm being quite strict on myself. But one of the good things, of course, with this route, or the outward route at least, is you don't need to worry about route finding too much, because we're following the railway line, the trailway, and really you can't kind of go wrong with that, can you? Because it stretches out straight in front of you. And that's quite nice. Don't have to keep looking at my phone trying to work out whether I'm in the right place. Hey, you can get an idea of how high the railway line was even here, and this is not the highest point. What's the highest point? The S&D is at the Masbury summit, I think. This is not too bad, but even here we're climbing up a hill, which is not easy for a train in those days. Morning. Yeah, hence why they have to be double-headed. They have two engines to pull them up to the top of the hill, and then one of the engines would then uncouple and go back down again. And yes, an area I've walked and travelled all my life, of course, living in East Dorset. I remember as a kid we stopped at the farmhouse over there, to fill the kettle of water up. This was when we used to borrow my uncle's car for 2 weeks of the year. The dad's 2 weeks holiday, which was always the first 2 weeks of August, and that's it. That's all the holiday he got. So we used to go on trips, family trips in the car. And morning. And we used to take primus stove, kettle, sausages and bacon and all sorts of other things, and we'd stop at a house, knock on the door. We didn't carry water, and that farmhouse over there, I remember, is one of the places, or was a farmhouse, it's probably not now. That's one of the places I do remember stopping, and we'd take the kettle in, knock on the door and say, would you mind, could you just fill the kettle for us? And then we'd put the kettle on the floor of the car and drive on. It was an old Morris 10. Old thing, did 30 miles an hour, maybe 40 if you were lucky, downhill with trailing wind. Anyway, we'd keep going till we found somewhere to stop, often a lay-by beside a country road or something, and yeah, brew up a cup of tea and do a fry up. Mum used to do a fry up on the stove, and we all sat on the ground beside the car, and that's how we did it in those days. There was no stopping at cafes or restaurants or anything like that. I just noticed something else over here. So you got the farmhouse down here. Above that is a building on the skyline, and I am thinking that's probably Bryanston, part of Bryanston School. Can't get my bearings quite from here, but I think that's what that is. So we'll be passing near that later on. I suppose the kettle thing that I was talking about is probably a good example of how life has changed. It seems cheeky, wouldn't it, now, to kind of go into a random house and knock on the door and ask them if they could fill your kettle up. I'm sure you would do it now, but in those days it was okay. It was kind of, nobody had a problem with it. So yeah, funny, isn't it? It's interesting. We were saying the other day, back in when my parents were alive and when I was a kid, people used to come and visit us, family or friends or whatever, and they'd just turn up. We had no phone, and obviously no mobile phone, so they'd just turn up, and they wouldn't even knock. They'd just walk in the back door and say, hi, come for a cup of tea, and it was kind of fine. But again, you kind of wouldn't do that now. If you're going somewhere, you'd probably message them and say, is it okay if I pop round? Morning.
Morning.
So yeah, you just wouldn't do it, would you? So it's interesting, isn't it? Changing life, changing lifestyle. And probably, I don't think it's changed for the better, really, in all honesty. Morning. We're always talking about progress, aren't we? And things improving and all that, but I think sometimes things haven't improved. Things have actually gone backwards, I think. Anyway, just a thought. Mull that one over. Changes in the way we are as community. Sorry, I've just had another memory come to me that was a bit rank. I'm talking a lot, aren't I? I remember going into some place for a kettle of water, and they had to fill it from the well because they only had a well. They had no running water, so they filled the kettle from the well. And to us townies, I remember the water absolutely rank. I can't remember whether we used it, or whether he threw it away and knocked on somebody else's door. I can't remember. Thought I'd throw that in. Amazingly, we used to pack 7 of us into that car. So it was a Morris 10, 4-seater, is it? Maybe 5 at a rear push. But we used to pack 7 of us in there. There would be my dad driving, Mum in the passenger seat at the front. I would sit on her lap. No seat belts, of course, in those days. And then in the back would probably be my 4 older brothers. If the older ones didn't come with us, then probably a couple of brothers and my gran and granddad at the time. So they used to come out sometimes with us. So yeah, 7. It's no wonder I only did, I couldn't do much more than 30. It was a struggle getting up the hills, I think. I wouldn't imagine packing 7 people into my little Fiesta, which is probably a similar size, is it? I don't know. But it was such an adventure, I remember. And clearly I remember it well after all these years. After what, 70 years ago that would have been. Look like cyclists to me. Interesting. There's a tree which seems to be growing out of a load of tyres. Not sure why that is. Interesting as well. Looks like an old line side hut. It's good that that's still there. A lot of those sort of things would have been pulled down. So we're approaching Stourpaine now. I'm slightly disappointed. This is all this undergrowth on the left, because I was hoping to go up there. It used to be clear. Can't see a way of getting up there through the foliage now. But the reason I wanted to go up there is that there is a little station. It's actually a halt. Stourpaine and Durweston Halt, which I was hoping to get up to. Look as if you can now. You can just see it through the trees. You can just see the concrete supports of the station platform, not on a public footpath. We're actually going that way. Oh no, it's all overgrown in here, I think, unless we can. Oh. Yeah, they're obviously good at repurposing rails and things. That's good to see. Recycling. No, it's fenced off, can't get to it. Basically behind these trees here is Stourpaine and Durweston Halt, where the train used to stop. And you used to be able to climb up that bank and get a view of the station. I was hoping to do that. Sadly, it's impassable now. I might have photos. It's a stiff spring on this gate. Oh. Yes, I might have photos, so maybe I'll try and insert a photo if I can find it. I actually stood on that platform when you used to be able to get up there, although it's heavily fenced off up here, I noticed. Anyway, yes, so Stourpaine is that direction. Interesting place actually, Stourpaine, and something I learned a few things that I didn't know. But anyway, that's on another walk that I do, so maybe we'll walk through Stourpaine then. But more about that when we do that walk. So this is part of the Stour. So we're approaching Durweston now, and one of the things Durweston had is a mill, as a lot of places of course had mills. So this is Durweston Mill. It's obviously been extended, converted to housing now. And it is one of those places where there was a mill going back to the year dot, kind of doomsday, but the current building is more recent. But it is a very picturesque spot, this. Ah, smile, you're on camera. That's not my camera they're talking about. Wow. That is a well stagnant river. The state of that. So yes, as I say, this was a mill. You see the wheels have all gone, but this is where they would have cranked up the sluice gates to make the river flow. Now the other thing that there is here is the remains of a church, and they are near the mill, so, and I don't remember seeing these. don't, in all honesty, know where it was. All I know is it was near the mill. I was kind of hoping that I might be able to spot some of it. So it's quite a nice little gated community that's been created out of the mill. But unfortunately I cannot find any remains of any church. I don't actually know where it was. Ooh. But it does say online that there's very little remaining of it. So maybe that's lost to the undergrowth as well. Anyway, so this is Durweston. Now Durweston was originally two separate villages. There was Durweston, and the church that's gone that I've just been looking for is Durweston Church. And then there was Knighton, which was a separate village and had its own church, Knighton Church. So the two parishes were amalgamated in 1381. And obviously one church became redundant, which is the one here near the mill, and that was then demolished. And Knighton Church, which we will see in a minute because we're heading over there, that became Durweston Church, which is the one that's still used today, of course. So Durweston has actually become quite a busy village because there is a busy road that goes through the middle of it. But that is in part thanks to the lord of the manor, who at one time lived at Bryanston House, because Bryanston House is a manor house, was a manor house, and he wanted to divert the traffic away from his estate. So he built the Durweston bridge, which crosses the Stour, and so it's kind of thanks to him, I suppose, that we've got traffic, so much traffic coming up through the village now, I guess. We will come across him soon because we're heading for Bryanston. But before we get there, we're going to stop off and have a look at Durweston Church, kind of Durweston New Church, I suppose, because the old one is demolished. And that is here. So this is another of those typical village churches. was actually rebuilt in 1846, so is not old apart from the tower, which is 15th century. The rest of the church was rebuilt. But we'll have a quick look inside. I don't think I've ever actually looked in. It's not a place you kind of walk through really, Durweston. More likely you're driving through it. But we'll have a look, see if it's open. It's open. Actually, I spy a seat, so maybe that's a good spot for a little snack. Well, it had to be a very quick skim round the church because there's somebody in there cleaning, so the hoover's going. But anyway, we've got a flavour for Durweston Church. And it's noted for a couple of things. In fact, Durweston is noted for a couple of things. First of all, the church is noted for the Durweston carols. They produced a CD in 2009 of some old, what are called gallery carols. Back in the day, when all churches had a kind of west gallery, there would be a group of singers up there who would sing some traditional carols, and they were known as the gallery carols, and they were used widely originally. And I think Durweston was one of the last, if not the last, to stop the practice of singing gallery carols. But yes, the villagers got together and produced a CD back in 2009 of the old gallery carols. And I did find one online. I might see if I can put a bit of that up to give you a flavour. Anyway, so that's one thing it's known for. The other thing it's known for is shroving. I'm not sure I'd have actually heard of shroving, but it's kind of a bit like carol singing, where kids go knocking on doors of the village houses and kind of ask for a bit of food or something like that. and it was done obviously on Shrove Tuesday. And Durweston again was one of the last to continue the practice of shroving. So that's two things that they're noted for. And actually the last one is quite fitting really to talk about that, because I'm sat here on this seat looking across the graveyard, and I can hear the sound of children playing in the school playground, and I think that's such a lovely sound. I love the sound of children running around playing, their chatter and laughing. It's just a lovely gentle sound, I think. Reminds you of, I don't know, how happy children are. Maybe we lose some of that as we get older, I don't know. Is that true? I think it probably is. Anyway, a little bit more about Durweston while I sit and have my snack. I haven't brought lunch because it wasn't intended to be a kind of full day's walk. Anyway, it's been a lovely one so far, and I hope you're enjoying it. I am, and I see you loving it. It's amazing how these churches are built with this flint and stone design. That must have been a laborious job, cutting all these flints in half. Oh, that was interesting. Just, I mean, it's not the oldest or most interesting architecturally, but it does have some interesting features. And it has a very nice graveyard. I've just spotted this as I was walking down the road. That's the old station sign from the Stourpaine and Durweston Halt. That is a very chunky station sign, I have to say. It must weigh a bit. It's currently displayed in, it looks like, the village playground or football ground. It's a well laden tree. And one of the original gas lamps, I assume, or what was. So across the field there, I don't know if that'll come out in the camera on the film, but over there you might see the cars going across the bridge. That's the infamous Durweston Bridge, which was built to divert traffic away from the Bryanston estate. Single track bridge. So there's three-way traffic lights, and it does cause a bit of a jam at times. So we're leaving the village behind now, and you can see already it's got the obvious hallmarks of a formal estate grounds, with the trees that are planted. So this would have been all part of the Bryanston house estate at one point. Well, I've given in. I have resisted staunchly all day taking any detours so I can keep the mileage down to a manageable level, but I've decided I can't resist this one, so I've taken a detour off my route which climbs up onto this ridge. I might regret it later. Climbs up onto the ridge, and I'm hoping we get some nice views from up there, and then we'll rejoin my track later on. And it was worth it already. Look at this view. Well, we've had views already. There's a lovely footpath to walk as well. This will be awesome, I think, when the trees change colour. Well, they are already in the distance, so it probably won't come out on film very well. And the alternative to this was to follow the Stour Valley Way, which I think follows the road. It is a very minor road, but it follows the road, I think, along the bottom. So although it's a detour, we'll add a mile or so. I think it's probably worth it, because this is lovely. It's getting hot now though, I have to say. I mean, it's probably not. The temperature is probably not that high today, but it feels warm walking. So we are currently skirting round the top of a steep-sided wooded valley. And it's nice to be out of the sun for a minute. So we're down in the woods now. And I'm just making my way down to pick up my original path. But that was a detour that was worth doing, I think. That was a very nice path, some nice views. And some lovely woodlands that we're in now. Ooh, a blockage. Right, let me get through. I should have brought my machete with me. That's some nice colours on that tree. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Really looking forward to autumn. Proper autumn. What's the date today actually? We're probably in. We just started autumn officially. But what I mean is the trees autumn, nature's autumn, when all the colours change. Last year I remember got some quite nice filming through the autumn woods. So I'm really looking forward to getting more of that this year. The name of these woods, incidentally, is the Hanging. It sounds like it could be quite a kind of gruesome place, really. Gruesome name. But I don't think it is. I think it's probably because it's on the side of a hill. Pretty sure I've come across other hillside coppices where they've been called kind of hanging coppice or something. So I think that's probably all it means, because we are literally on the side of a hill. A hill which, incidentally, I've got to climb because we're back on the main path now. So we're above Bryanston now. You can't actually see the school very well. You can see the chimneys in the distance. That's Bryanston School, one time Bryanston House. So Bryanston gets its name from a man's name. Can you guess what his name was? Well, I'll tell you. His name was Brian. And Ton obviously comes from kind of farm or homestead, hence Brian's Ton. It was actually Brian de Insula in the early 13th century when he lived at Bryanston House and owned Bryanston Estates. But it's got some famous people connected with it. One is Sir Richard Rogers. He was a pirate, would you believe? But he kind of gained favour with Elizabeth I at the time of the Armada, when she kind of enlisted his seaworthy skills, seaman skills, to fight the Armada. So he came into favour despite his notorious past, shall we say. There's a lovely light coming through here. Lovely views. Another famous connection or previous owner is the Portman family. They bought it in 1662 and they were famous for their hunt, pack of hounds known as the Portman Hunt. It was a huge estate in those days. They had a new house built in the 18th century, and I think it was they who diverted the road, I believe, over the bridge. And what else did they do? I think they diverted the River Stour as well and widened it as part of their estate. But they hit problems when the family had 6 deaths in 29 years, and even a hugely wealthy family like that couldn't afford to pay the death duties on all of those, and so they sold it. And in 1927 it became the school, Bryanston School, which is here. So as you can see from the sign, it's private grounds and there is no right of way, so I'm going to have to detour across this way and skirt round the school grounds. Ooh, that's a high style this is. Ooh. Yeah, it's a shame really, because there is a lovely belt of trees running right beside the River Stour, and it would be lovely to walk through there. Hello matey. Hello, you alright? Yeah, lovely belt of trees running right beside the Stour, and there's an old chapel as well, but unfortunately I don't think we can go through that either, because I believe that is all owned by the school and is therefore private ground with no public right of way. I was kind of hoping there might be a footpath through, but it's not marked on the map. That was hard work. Not one style, but two. So obviously retains the name Portman. But we're on the road for a little bit because we've got to walk through Bryanston village or hamlet, not sure which it is. Settlement, let's call it that. And there's some very nice houses here. Hi. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that building back there. It's the powerhouse, as you saw from the sign. The Lord Portman built a powerhouse to provide electricity to his manor house. But you can tell we're still walking through parklands by the way it's all laid out. That tree's well into autumn, isn't it? It's all wrinkled up, looks like it's died. So I'm on the road now, walking through what I think is still Bryanston village or hamlet, and this is the point where I was really hoping that I would spot a permissive footpath that would take us down to the River Stour and along the riverbank. But I have a suspicion that I'm probably going to be on the road for the rest of the way back to Blandford, because it's not showing any footpaths on the map. I just kind of hoped there might be a permissive path I could take, so I kind of took a chance really. But we'll see, you never know. Well, I found a path right at the end of Bryanston village, and it drops down into the Bryanston School grounds, the woodlands, and so far I've not passed any signs that says it's private, and it looks well trodden, so I'm just walking it. So maybe it is possible then. And this is obviously the main drive to the house. Right. Well, this is way better than walking the road, I have to say, which is what I thought I was going to have to do. Lovely afternoon light coming through the trees, and a very nice path to walk. And it looks like it might be a bridle way, unless that's school, because there's all sign of horses here. This is actually called the cliff, this bit on the left. So I'm thinking that must be a steep drop to be called that. And the River Stour is down at the bottom. So if I could, I would like to go off to the left at some point and see if I can drop down to the lower path by the river. Just look at this amazing light. It's absolutely beautiful, that is. Awesome. Blandford's come into view. That's through the clearing there. You can see the church. Don't know if that'll come out on the video or not. And now the River Stour comes in view down there. We're still too high up. Well, I've taken another detour. I've turned off my track and I'm now heading along the lower track just to see, out of interest, if we can actually reach the river bank. I've made it to the river. There's the River Stour, in fact, through the trees. You can see the bridge that goes across to Blandford Forum. And over here, I can point to it, you can see the church tower. I've just noticed all these flies down here. Look, I don't know if they'll come out on the video. They're skimming the surface. Are they water boatmen? No, what's the other one? Pond skater or water boatman? Can't remember which is which. I'll have to look it up. So this is the bridge across the River Stour. Got to go up there and cross that in a minute to get into the town. Thought we'd come down here and have a look. We've got traffic noise here, unfortunately. This is what was the gatehouse to Bryanston House and the Bryanston estate. Very nicely laid out gardens too. Right, let's cross the bridge. We're on the homeward stretch now. Just a fairly short walk along the riverbank. Take us back to the starting point. So picturesque. Over there you can see the chimney of what was the brewery, now converted to flats, I think. It's a lovely spot, this is, though. And as we said, it's an absolutely beautiful afternoon, or almost evening now. Much later than I was intending to be, but it's been such a good day. I haven't been able to stop detouring and filming. Oh. A family of swans. Sorry, I've got no bread, unfortunately. Well, I think I'm going to sign the video off now. We've got another, I don't know, half a mile or so back to the car, but it's just along the river and over a bridge and then through the town a little bit. So I'll sign the video off at this point. Been an absolutely amazing day, really awesome. Can't believe how good it's been. I've absolutely loved it. I've done everything I wanted to do, even managed to walk through the school grounds, which I wasn't at all sure was possible. You can tell how as I don't walk this way very much. It's more cycling than walking up here. But yeah, now according to my app, it's going to be nearly 10 miles, I think, by the time I get back to the car. And I am so chuffed with that, especially after walking yesterday. I did, I've forgotten what I did yesterday. Was it 6 miles? And then 10 miles today. I mean, that's the longest walk I've done since mid-May, I would think. So yeah, it's a really good sign, I have to say, and I'm unbelievably chuffed, because it obviously means that this long COVID is on its way out. So yeah, I'm just amazed that I've been able to do that. Anyway, it's been an amazing day. So thanks so much for coming with me. I hope you've enjoyed it. As I say, I've absolutely loved it. But for now, this is me, the Dorset Rambler, saying until next time.